Hi everyone. Today I want to speak directly to students to share some important changes we're making and explain why we're making them. I'll start though with a word of thanks. Over the last few weeks, the vast majority of you have been following the university's health and safety guidelines in order to protect yourselves and the people around you, from the waiter on the corner to dining hall employees to the professor in front of the classroom. You've been doing the right thing, not just when it's easy, but when it's hard. And for that, we're incredibly grateful. I especially want to thank the residents of Balls-Dobie, Lefevre, Eccles, and Kellogg, who had to be tested after we discovered signs that there might be infections in their residence halls. You handled disruptions to your schedules with patience and understanding. I also want to thank in advance those of you who may be asked to do something similar in the days and weeks ahead. All of you are the reason we still have a chance to make this semester a success. But as we've said from the very beginning, staying one step ahead of this virus will not be easy. Instead, it will require everyone doing their part, not just some of the time or even most of the time, but all the time. Recently, it's become clear just how difficult and important that can be. Over the last few days, we've become more concerned about the spread of COVID-19 within the UVA community. Some of this has been driven by a rise in the number of positive cases in our community, but we've also gotten reports of a few large student gatherings, both on and off grounds, as well as reports about inconsistent adherence to masking and distancing guidelines. This has caused concern among our public health experts who worry that we may be headed in the wrong direction, and that if we don't get back on track quickly, we could end up in a situation where we have to severely restrict where students can go or risk running short on isolation and quarantine space. That's not a situation any of us wants to be in, which is why we're putting into place 3 new restrictions that will apply to students on and off grounds for at least the next 2 weeks. First, gatherings will now be limited to 5 people, down from a previous limit of 15. Students will still be able to gather outside safely, including on the lawn, but will have to do it in groups of 5 or fewer. If this new limit is not respected, we may have to consider additional restrictions, including curfews. Second, all students will be required to wear masks at all times unless you're at home in your room, eating or exercising outdoors, or in accordance with the guidelines at one of our on-grounds IM rec facilities. And even when you are exercising, you should always keep a mask on hand in case you run into another person. Finally, we're going to ramp up enforcement of our travel and visitor policies for students, which should be simple to understand and follow. Please do not leave Charlottesville over the next 2 weeks, and do not invite visitors to come to town. This is to protect people outside this community, as well as to prevent more of the virus being brought back to grounds. Importantly, these masking and gathering guidelines will apply to faculty and staff on grounds as well, with the traditional exception that if you're alone in your office, you do not need to wear a mask. These new guidelines will officially go into effect tomorrow, Wednesday, September 23rd at 9 a.m. In addition to these new restrictions, it is more important than ever to be mindful of maintaining physical distance from other people whenever possible. This includes at bars and restaurants. If you can't stay 6 feet from others at a restaurant or bar, do not go in. And speaking of bars, if you are under 21, also do not go in, period. Our medical experts have identified bars as among the highest risk locations, and we need your help in limiting risk for yourselves, your fellow students, and members of our community. Please understand that these rules are important for your safety and the safety of those around you. We know these additional restrictions will be an added burden, and we don't adopt them lightly, but we're doing what we can to slow down the spread of the virus and increase our chances of remaining on grounds all fall. We hope and trust that you will follow these restrictions, but if need be, we'll have no choice but to enforce them. We've already had to issue interim suspensions to several students for intentionally disregarding policies around gatherings, masking, and social distancing, and we will be even more vigilant going forward. We will also put into place additional restrictions if necessary. I say this not to alarm you, but to make clear that we will continue to do everything we need to in order to keep people safe and to give students a chance to remain on grounds this semester. A few other important things to note. In-person classes will continue during this 2-week period. Classes are obviously a part of our core mission as a university, and we have no evidence that virus has been transmitted in classrooms. We're also going to continue ramping up testing, monitoring the wastewater coming out of dorms, testing random groups of students every day, and very soon rolling out saliva screening that will allow us to test larger number of students at multiple locations across grounds. I've said this before and I'll say it again. If you get asked to submit a test, please do so. You will not get in trouble for testing positive or for providing accurate information to contact tracers. I still believe we can do this, but it will take everyone's very best effort. From the very beginning, we've known that this path would be difficult. Some people said we couldn't do it. Some people still have their doubts. But while getting to Thanksgiving is going to be hard, all of you have shown over the last 6 months that you can do hard things, whether it's missing graduation and sports seasons, figuring out online classes, or trying to make new friends under extraordinarily challenging circumstances. I believe this is a challenge we can meet. Please be dedicated about following our health and safety guidelines. Encourage the people around you to do the same, and together we will keep this semester on track. We'll keep you posted on our progress during these next 2 weeks, and hopefully at that time we'll be able to ease some of the new restrictions we're putting in place today. Thank you, and take care.